What's going on, YouTube family? It's your boy Malik Washington hitting you with another video. Hey guys, I thank you for tuning in to this video of a moment in my life, not a day in my life, because we're sitting here and I'm only telling you about a moment in my life. This is not scripted. I'm just going to be talking through some of the things that are on my mind and things that I'm realizing in this point in time in my life, and I hope that you guys can resonate and actually get something out of this. My first thought would have to be is that I'm realizing that this life is built for relationships. God has made us and has built us for relationships. And for some reason we fight that so much nowadays, and we fight for this independence. And I still haven't seen anything great come from us searching for a level of independence. I've only seen greatness, I've only seen growth through relationships. And I'm not joking with that. I hear some of the most inspiring motivational speakers and some of the most wealthiest people in the world are the people that are making the biggest impacts in the world, not just with money, but maybe just nuns day to day giving food to homeless shelters and stuff, and they're not even living a lavish lifestyle. Even down to those small relationships, they are way more productive, and they've had so much more growth on this earth through relationship than striving to be independent. I don't think we're called to be independent in anything that we do. And what goes hand in hand with us not being independent and being built for a relationship is it takes a level of selflessness in order to have relationships. So that's another thing that life tells us is that if we're all built for relationships, that means we're all here to serve each other with no selfish intent. When you think about being independent, it comes from a selfish innateness within us. It doesn't come from togetherness. There's no such thing as being independent to help other people. You know, it all comes from relationships, being connected with other people, interdependent. And I think we've lost so much sight of that, of the selfless nature. We're so selfish nowadays. It's always like, get yours, get this, get that. Are you going after the money? Are you getting this? Are you getting that? And it's just like the pressures of life, they get heavy sometimes. And sometimes they're unnecessarily heavy because we're focused on all the wrong things. We're focused on all the wrong things. I was listening to an interview from Lewis Howes and Tony Robinson yesterday, and he asked him, what do you think the key to life is? And he said the key to life, giving is living. And basically, I mean, I don't think he said it exactly that way. I'm trying to remember, but the thing is that he was basically saying that through his life, he went through a hard time where he was just rock bottom, and he was wondering why I just can't make money. I just can't do this. I don't have any money. I just don't know what to do. He took the time out. He had $17 left, I believe, is what he said. And he was in his apartment. He didn't know how he was going to eat next week or anything like that. What he did is he took that money and he went to a all-you-can-eat salad bar. I forgot what location he was in, but an all-you-can-eat salad bar. And he sat down. He ate for like $6. So obviously, if he ate for $6, I mean, he didn't have too much left. I think he started out with like 20-something bucks, and then after he got done eating, he left. He had only 17 left, and at the time that he had 17 bucks, a mother and her son walked in. He came in a little three-piece suit, and he held the door for his mom, and he was taking care of her. Pulled her seat out, sat her down, and And Tony realized that after he ate, and without even thinking about it, you know, with $17 to his name, he came up to the boy and he was just like, man, that's awesome that you're taking care of your lady like that. And, you know, the kid's only 11, and he looks over at him and he's just like, I'm only 11. This is my mom. You know, really, really honest and innocent. And Tony said, wow, that's still cool. That's great that you're taking your mom out to lunch. And the kid said, I'm not taking her out to lunch. I'm only 11. And Tony said, yes, you are today. And he handed the kid the $17 that he had to his name. He handed the kid the $17 that he had to his name without even thinking about it, and left. And he said when he left, he didn't really, he felt fulfillment, but at the same time he was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't have anything, but that was the right thing to do. Like, he felt fulfilled in that moment. All the way up to that point, he was struggling, he was feeling depressed, and he was just like, I don't have anything. I have to find how I'm gonna survive. And in that moment in time, I have to be able to survive. The next moment, he unconsciously gave away the only thing that he had in a selfless manner. And what he quickly realized is that after that happened, a dude that owed him money that he just couldn't get in contact with had actually sent him a letter in the mail for like $1,000 saying, hey man, I've been avoiding you, but here's the money that I owed you. And for some reason that clicked for him, that don't ever stop tithing, don't ever stop giving, don't ever stop investing within relationships in a selfless manner, because it always comes back to you. The level of generosity that you give out will always be measured back to you. And truthfully, it's not just his story, but I've heard so many stories that talk about a selfless nature is the only way to live a true happy life. You know, if you're focused on the material things, it's going to wither away. I heard Lewis Howes talking about how he wanted to prove everyone wrong, that he could be an All-American, and there's so much anger involved in it and selfishness. And by the time he got there and he was an All-American, he said it was only sweet for about 30 seconds. Then he realized, like, this sucks. I'm alone in this. You know, he was interviewing John Gray today, actually like May 8th of this year, and I watched that interview as well. And he was talking to John Gray, and he said that John Gray said that he at some point in his life he wasn't sensitive. He's a traveling pastor, you know, he's a pastor out in Texas, but the thing is for Lakewood Church, he used to just leave on trips without really worrying about how his family felt about it or anything like that. It didn't really resonate with his wife's emotions, or it just didn't bother him. And he said it wasn't till he went through a trip to South Africa as he was just traveling back and forth, and he said like his view was watching whales in the water, and he had like the temples behind him, and it was just a beautiful place, and he was just like, man, like it was awestruck, like like it was just beautiful. And he said that in that most beautiful area that he was in, that he was awestruck about, he was also the loneliest he's ever been in his life. And for me, I was just wondering where he was going at with that. But the thing is that he was saying he felt lonely because his wife was in California handling some stuff, and his kids were back in Texas, and he was alone. And he realized in that moment of maturity and maturing that he would never want to do things like that again, ever, alone. He began to understand the art of relationship and how important it was, and how unfulfilling things are when it's in a selfish manner. Nothing in a selfish manner brings about happiness or satisfaction within life in general. That's not how God's made us, and we're not meant to be separate. So I want you to think about, take a moment and really think about a moment in your life, where you were very encouraged to get something done, but it was in a selfish manner. And you tell me, you find a story where you were selfless, and you find a story where you were selfish in. And I want you to really ponder and think about that. It might take you a minute, but think about that. I'm pretty sure I have plenty. But the one that comes to my mind was just a year ago when I was working for a gym company, and I was the fitness manager. And I was actually, month to month, I was the top salesperson in the company. And my faith grew a lot in that time too, just trusting God, because things were so up and down. But at the end of the month, I always finished out on top, and it was great. It was just like, man, you're killing it. You're killing this business, and your goal's always going up, and you just keep hitting it. You keep hitting it. And I was working 10, 12 hours, Monday through Saturday, and I was just doing that. That's all I was doing. And it was like, go, go, go. Make that money, do your own thing. Malik's independent. Malik's doing this. And it's just like, man, I started to feel an emptiness. I started to feel an emptiness inside. And I didn't like the feeling. And, I'm making good money. So I put my money in savings, but I would always take out at least $1,000 a month. And for those that I went through the interview process with, the fitness questionnaires that needed personal training, and I knew that after assessing them, do you have diabetes? Do you have cholesterol problems? You have cancer? Like what is it? Did you have knee replacements? How can I help you with this lifestyle change? Because we were changing lives. And one thing I noticed, not everybody could afford it, and without even thinking about it, I just started giving. People would, that's a great idea, but I can't afford that. It's like, well, don't you worry about it, because your first 2 months are on me. I'll buy you a paid in full package. Okay, can you afford it for the next 6 to 12 months? Because you need that to reach your goal. Yeah, but I just don't have it for that month. I got you. I'm going to take care of it. There was even a point in time where it went 6 to 7 months where I was paying for a woman's personal training, and it really didn't bother me. I had a couple of people like that where I was paying for their stuff. And I'm not saying that to stir your hearts and be like, oh my gosh, he's a good dude. It was more like, no, I was giving, and it was fulfilling. And it wasn't until I started thinking outside of myself and putting people before me, and acting within a selfless manner and not just for a paycheck, that I started to truly love my job. I love the fitness industry in general, always will, but I didn't really start to love my job outside of finding people's results. Because sales can be hard sometimes, because it's just like it's always hitting quota and getting the numbers right. But are you investing in people's lives? Are you willing to pay for people's service that they need, that they truly need? Are you selfless? Are you selfless? Are you always just looking to take? Are you a giver or are you a taker? And it wasn't until I started to give more than I took that I felt fulfillment, guys. And you will never be satisfied with the amount of money in your bank account if it comes from selfishness. It has to come from a selfless manner, and from a different process, from a different category, and look at life. That's not the only way that I'm talking about being selfless. Like I said, we're built for relationships in general, so let's look at it from the aspect of a family. One thing that's been big in my life right now, and that I've been talking with my family about, and something that God's put in our hearts, is talking about generational curses and things that have been passed down through years of the men in the family and the women in the family, however you want to put it, and generational curses in people's lives in general, and how people, they don't take them serious and they don't identify them, and they wonder why they struggle in so many areas. And it's just like, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. And that's something that they don't decipher, you know. They might not have too close of a relationship with their parents, or they might not be around. But if you have the opportunity to take the time out to sit with them and figure out their strengths and their struggles, and your grandparents' strengths and struggles and ancestors, and get as much information as you can, because then you'll start to understand more about yourself. It's so weird because we spend so long trying to find out who we are, but instead of us going to sources that can actually help us, that actually have genetically birthed in us things that will, and traits that will stick with us through life, it's mind-blowing, because we're searching and trying to find ourselves on our own, and we don't even know the basics of our DNA. And that's a crazy thing too, because I'm into psychoneuroimmunology, which is mind-to-body connection, and it's actually classified as medicine. But I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and we were talking about some things that, you know, we need to work on as individuals and things like that. And she's always making me think, and I love it. And she doesn't even know it. I'm always saying thank you to her, and she's like, I don't even know what I did. It's just because we're having a conversation, and the light bulb comes on, and I'm thinking about something new, and it's creativity. But in the matter of us talking, one thing that I said is manipulation of the DNA. And I put a little tongue face, because I was like, we're going to manipulate your DNA, jokingly. But I really started thinking about it, and I'm just like, thanks, babe. Like that you know, something came about, and what came about in that is the understanding of DNA, right? I won't start giving you a bunch of whole scientific terms and stuff like that. I can, but I'll just keep it real basic. I think we all know what DNA is. You know, it's basically the holder of our genetic information. And people, when you think about DNA, you think about something, you think about the characteristics of someone that are normally unchanging. You can't change them. They're set in stone. You know, the way that you look like your parents, you know, the cells and molecules that make up your nose, your ears, all of those good things. But DNA is not set in stone. Just like you're not one-dimensional, DNA is not one-dimensional. So yes, there is a side of that carrier of information that is set in stone and unchanging, but there's something called epigenetics. And that side is what makes up the cells and the molecules to make your nose and your ears, and, you know, put everything together. But in that, it also deals with your nutrition, your fitness, and your health actually affects your DNA. And not only does it affect your DNA, they've shown that it can actually be passed down through generations. Hence generational curses. They're just proving the existence of generational curses, but in a scientific light. And the thing is that, so if your fitness and your nutrition, your mindset can shape your DNA and get it passed down to your children, it's important for us to understand what generational curses are. But after we figure out what they are, we have to begin to reshape our DNA and the epigenetic side for the better. That's how you break generational curses. So don't think that your life is just set in stone, or this is just the way I am, because those things can actually change, not just in your mind, but in your innate body, your biological nature, your DNA. Things can change. Those things, your mindset and who you are, a part of you can't change. But there is a good part of you that can. And I bring that up because of the selfless nature of it. If you live a selfish life, the things that you do selfishly, the things that you think about selfishly, they will reform and settle in to your DNA. They will manipulate whatever you do, the way you think, no matter what, is going to manipulate your DNA, and they're starting to understand that. You're literally manipulating your DNA by your thought process and the way that you go about things. So therefore, if you live a life of selfish endeavors, if you ever have a family, if you ever have children, the people that you are around, it's going to affect them. It's going to affect them. There's a saying that I just heard, that the sins of a father come to visit the son, and it's true. And you can find passages in Deuteronomy in the Bible talking about generational curses, and a couple other places as well. But the thing is that it goes from generation to generation to generation. Whatever your sins were, whatever you struggled with, if you don't correct them in your life, and you give birth, or your wife gives birth to an offspring, or your wife doesn't get those things correct, it will be in that child's DNA. That will be passed down to them. So if that's not an even bigger representation of the fact that this life is not about us, and it's a selfless life, and it's built for relationships, because we're all connected in a way, and the way that we act and the decisions that we make affect other people, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, that is proof in the pudding that this life isn't about me, and it's not about you as an individual either, but it's about each other and serving each other and being selfless. We can't make anything about us, because there's nothing that good that comes from that. So in saying all of that, this video is already long. I don't want it to be any longer, but I hope that you guys learned something from it, and you kind of see my heart in it, because I never want to get to the point to where I'm so self-driven and so self-sacrificial for myself, selfish, that I begin to hurt people around me and not even know it. I want us to all be aware of the decisions that we make, the way that we act, and everything like that. It's not just your mindset, it affects your DNA, and it affects the people within your family and the people that are around you. It affects everyone. And then when you really look at it from there, if you are someone that is a Debbie Downer, someone that's always complaining, someone that's always negative around other people, you aren't only putting them in a mindset of drainage and a drought, but you're filling their mind with those things, and they start to act on those things. Because like they said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's no different. They say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, because you become who you're around. You become a like. You become a like. So that lets you know there that it's not selfish, but it's a selfless intent no matter what. Even if you are selfish, life presents selfless events. No matter what, you can say you're independent all you want, but your relationships and your independent self, no matter how selfish you want to be, it still projects on others as a selfless purpose. So either you can have the mindset of I'm selfless and spread about positivity within your relationships, or you can go in life thinking selfishly and affecting the people around you in a negative manner. Because I can tell you, I've learned so much, and I'm growing in this, and it's a aha moment. That's just what it is. There's nothing in this life that's intended to be selfish. So I just pray that we would all learn the selfless nature, and we'd really study in that, and not only in that, I mean, within ourselves, we have to find out who we are, which is very important, but not for our own being, but for the safety of others and for lives in general. Another thing that John Gray was talking about, and I've been dealing with people as a life coach, is that he said Lewis Howes asked him, what area are you struggling in your life? And he said his physical fitness. his physical fitness. And a lot of people say, well, you know, your physical fitness doesn't matter. But what he said, what mattered to him and his life about physical fitness and always struggling with physical fitness is that he feels as though he's missing a part of him. He's missing a part of who John Gray is. And that's very powerful, because it lets you know that since that was a struggle in his life and something that was a disconnect for him within his own being, he took it a step further, that it affects other people. And that's why he took it a step further. And he was just saying, you know, until I get this under control, I can't love myself the way that I need to, because I have the insecurity about my body. And since I can't love myself the way that I need to, then I can't properly love my wife and I can't properly love my children, because I don't know how to properly love. Isn't that crazy? The fact that there is a disconnect in his life and there is an insecurity in his life, it's always a stumbling block for him moving forward. Sorry guys, my camera ran out of space. It's actually raining now, so if you hear some noise, that's what it is. I'm gonna finish up this video though, because it's stupid long. But what I was saying is that it was a stumbling block in his life, because he had that disconnect. That insecurity was blocking him from moving forward in his relationships the way that he wanted to. So the healing process that we have to go through within those insecurities and those tough things that we have to deal with within our minds, we just have to take our time and really heal from those things, because it affects the people around us, whether we wanted to or not, and it gives us the ability or it gives us the inability to do the things that we want to do. So keep that in mind. Let's grow as people. Let's be selfless, include others, and understand that our life is not our own. But every decision that we make, everything that we do involves the people around us. So let's just build each other up, and I love you guys. Later.